Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
My guest, actually, is Josh HOFFMAN, and I met Josh the other day. He's the founder of Health Synergy, and this is a whole new world for a lot of us, getting into medical marijuana and other kinds of marijuana. So, Josh, I was so impressed with you. I told you that when I met you. I was so impressed with how much you know about this. So I feel like being quiet and just letting you talk about the whole new world of what's happening with this marijuana.
Yeah, it's an old medicine and it's a new conversation. That is for sure. I want to make one correction just in case my partners are listening. I'm a partner, not the founder of Health Synergy, but a partner of it. So
okay, that's what my sheet said. So thank you for that's
joint
right.
effort
You're
there.
a partner, and I knew that.
That's
right.
okay. So the way that I got involved with discovering hemp oil was through a personal experience. I was suffering from spinal stenosis, herniated discs, bulging discs, and was looking for a natural way to heal that pain that I was living with on a daily basis. And I knew an easy route could be go see a pain doctor, get some pain meds, but I knew that that was not sustainable, and I didn't even want to start in that direction. So I asked some friends, like, any natural cures for, chronic pain and inflammation in my back? And one of them suggested CBD. I had no idea what it was, so I figured, let me go look that up. And as I started reading about it, I just didn't, I couldn't even believe it. I just couldn't even pull myself away from the information because it was from a plant, it was non-toxic, an anti-inflammatory, and anti-anxiety. It just covered so many different conditions that I see people suffering with on a daily basis, including myself. So I figured, hey, got nothing to lose, let me try this out. I chose a form of the hemp oil to do sublingual under my tongue. About 5 days later, my back pain was not just better, but completely gone. I honestly thought it was a placebo. I said, that's a placebo. But my back pain's been gone for 2.5 years. So after that, I said, I figure I better really learn what I just put in my body. And 2.5 years later, here's the culmination of that research and experience.
That was very well said, and that's an interesting, it's like an anecdote in a sense. However, you are now among millions of people who are claiming the same thing.
Absolutely.
So when you say the word CBD?
Yes, ma'am.
CBD, so it's hemp, but where does the marijuana come into this?
Great question. And sometimes, when people say CBD, they do hemp a disservice. And the reason being is that whether it's the cannabis plant or the hemp plant, they all contain the same medicinal components. The only difference between hemp and cannabis is the amount or the percentage of THC that's involved in the plant. Now, CBD is just one of the approximately 100 medicinal components that occur naturally when the plant grows. And again, if somebody said, well, what's this hemp and cannabis? Aren't they the same plant? Well, are they different plants? They are technically the same plant, and what determines one from being hemp and differentiating it, to marijuana is simply the amount of THC. So let's talk about the levels of THC that are allowable.
By the way, we have Gary Polk is now watching.
All right,
So
Gary. Hey, welcome,
Hi,
Gary.
Gary.
Thanks for tuning in.
Right.
The limitation that the federal government draws the line at for hemp products to remain legal does not require a prescription or a recommendation from a doctor, and people can go and purchase it over the counter without risk of, law enforcement, is 0.3% THC or less. The moment that the THC content is higher than 0.3%, it is no longer called hemp. It is called marijuana, and it's illegal unless you are a dispensary licensed to dispense it.
So when I was eating hemp bread and I also have hemp seeds, that's the low thing. That's just from hemp.
But right. It doesn't contain, and this is glad that you said that. It doesn't contain the CBD, the cannabidiol, or other medicinal components in it. But hemp is a great fiber, so it gives you good fiber in the body. The seeds provide a great essential fatty acids, so omega-3s and whatnot, and plant sterols and a whole lot of other things. So you eating the hemp bread, you were doing something very good for your body.
Right, and I have the hemp seeds I put into my shakes in the morning.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
it's wonderful.
I'm doing it a different way. But now let's get back to people who are suffering with pain, because I want them to come into where you are, into your company, Health Synergy, which is located right there in Boca Raton, and it's on Federal Highway. And I'm going to give you the address for it if I have the address here. Okay, I'll give you
It's
the
on
address.
that,
I
the
think it's
back
over
there.
here. Right, exactly. It's actually 3253 North Federal Highway in Boca Raton. And the way you can get there, it's Federal Highway between Spanish River
And 20th Street.
and 20th Street,
Yep.
right. And it's on
Yep.
the west side of the street.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
they have so many things. I'm looking at the brochure right now. I mean, you have so many things. So as you discuss, start talking about how does one know what they need to get?
Great question.
That's why you're there, right?
Yeah, but it's a great question. Because not all products are meant, to do the same thing for the individual, because we are individuals. I mean, people metabolize things at different rates. Some people are better, with pills. Some people are better with, sublingual tinctures under the tongue. Some people like to rub it on their skin. Edibles as well. So there are lots of different forms of administration. What we really look at when somebody comes into our store is we start with the education and understanding who we're talking to. Why are they there? What are they hoping that this is going to help address? And if it happens to be something like pain, we try to assess what is the level of pain. Is it on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it a 4 or is it a 9? Because depending on the answer, it might determine the type of product that's going to be most beneficial for them. And then, a lot of people think size and shape has a lot to do with it, but it truly actually does not. And although some might argue that, I can, point to dozens of examples of people that you would think would need enough that an elephant could take, and they've taken such like micro doses and have experienced so much benefit. And then other people where you would think, oh my God, they're just going to need a drop, end up needing like twice as much. So it's, yeah.
So my guest, of course, is Josh Hoffman. But Josh, the confusion is people can go into your store, but there are people that want to actually have medical marijuana. So
Yes.
talk about that.
Okay, thank you. Good question. So, yeah, a lot of people come in the store and sometimes they think it's a dispensary where we're dispensing medical marijuana, but we're not. That's up the road in Lake Worth. But we do help people that have qualifying conditions or who think they may have qualifying conditions by helping them on board through that medical cannabis application process for the state of Florida. So we have medical directors over at Health Synergy that coordinate the meetings with the patients to help them understand how this process works. And then I'm the person that educates them about the entire, process and journey that is the implementation of medical cannabis in the state of Florida. So the doctors are the ones that can recommend the cannabis. I'm not a doctor, so I can't do that. And I'm the one that provides the education and consultation part of it. And you bring those two together, and we have a very good service. So we can absolutely help people out with getting approved for their medical cannabis card. Absolutely.
Right, and so it is a process, and of course it's new here in Florida,
It
even though
is.
it's okay.
Brand new.
And I guess it's Colorado, California. They've been doing this for a little
Early
bit.
adopters, yeah.
But it seems that it's going wild now. People really are saying, okay. In fact,
Yes.
I think I mentioned that yesterday we were at the Palm Beach Civic Association. We had a lecture with 5 outstanding physicians, and one of whom was, she was talking about the whole thing with marijuana, and after it was over, they want to know, well, what doctor? Where's the doctor? Where
Right,
can I go?
right, yeah.
And so I mentioned I knew one in Boca Raton,
Yeah.
and I talked about it in Delray Beach. So that's really what's happening, and yet I know that not every doctor is going to want to do it, or are they capable, or are they trained?
Right. Very great points. First of all, a doctor's going to want to have a need or a requirement, or a desire, let's say, to want to explore the possibility of being in a position to recommend medical cannabis for a patient. So the requirement really is you pay a fee to the state of Florida. There's an examination that the physicians have to go through that really doesn't get into the nitty-gritty of what medical cannabis is, how to dose it. It just talks about how to use the compassionate user registry, right? So, and not all doctors are subject matter experts on medical cannabis or hemp for that matter. So this is my value add to the doctors out there that are considering perhaps using, that as an adjunct to onboard and add value to their patients as an alternative, therapy, an alternative prescription. So there are just a handful of doctors here in the Palm Beach area doing it. I would say maybe 25, maybe a little bit more max in the entire Palm Beach area.
I believe that the doctors who have been dealing in pain medicine are the ones that would be more inclined to use, the medical marijuana because it gives them an extra alternative for their patients.
Well, here's what you have to know about that. They have to make a determination. They cannot prescribe them opiates and also be the recommending physician or doctor for medical cannabis. It is one or the other. It is not both. So you're giving up one of them. If you're a pain doctor and you're going to, the only way you can recommend if that patient is not on any opiates.
Okay, but there's a medical doctor who treats pain
right.
with physical therapy and with injections and other kinds of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and she's doing this now, but you're saying, that's right, you can't mix the two.
You cannot.
Yeah.
Put it this way. You can, as long as the recommending physician is not the same one writing the script for opiates.
Interesting.
Understand?
And so you became not only interested personally because of your own back, but you really are a wealth of information. I was so impressed when I first met you. I have to tell you, I was spellbound.
Thank you.
The
feeling is mutual.
About all the things, thank you, that you know, and that we want to be able to use Boomer Times to be able to spread the word. And I think
I
you're
appreciate that.
Yeah, and you're a perfect person for that. So now I want, and I have a brochure from you. And of course, while I was sitting there with my other sales executive, I saw people coming in. They were getting gummies. They were getting all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So you've now put this, and you call it cannabis. What's the difference of calling it marijuana?
They're synonymous.
I
think that there is a what's the word I'm looking for? There's a stigma attached to the word marijuana.
Because they think everyone's going to be in recreation, right?
Yeah, and something about the word cannabis makes it sound a little more medicinal.
Okay.
So just a personal preference, but they are synonymous, one and the same. Yeah.
Okay, so people now, whoever is doing this, your supplier, they're putting it into everything.
Yes.
Are they putting it into cookies and candy?
They are. I mean, well, so if we're talking medicinally, right now the state is still locked in.
No, we're talking about what you sell there.
Okay,
yes.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we don't have cookies, but we have taffies, wonderful taffies.
I had one. I was waiting for something to happen. Nothing did.
Mango and peppermint, and we have chewable gummies. One of them contains melatonin in there, so that's more of a nighttime formula to help people sleep. We have the tinctures for under the tongue. We have the topicals to rub on the skin, or the transdermal patches to just similar to a lidocaine patch, and capsules, and just
so let me
shampoos and
right.
shampoos.
This is wild.
Yeah.
Let me also tell you another anecdote. But someone told me that it's a couple in their 90s, and the woman had pain in her shoulders, and the husband took some of the lotion and was rubbing it on her shoulders. And after 2 weeks, she said, well, they don't seem to feel better. But he got rid of everything because he was using this.
He was getting into the pores to his bloodstream through the pores.
So that's kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Inadvertently, happened to make a believer out of somebody that wasn't expecting.
And we also, and I looked this up, dogs are really benefited from this.
Dogs actually have one of the most sophisticated cannabinoid systems out of the endocannabinoid system, kingdom, so to speak. Most vertebrates have an endocannabinoid system. So there is a canine endocannabinoid system. There is a feline endocannabinoid system, or an equine for horses, cannabinoid system. So they have the same receptors and similar receptors that the human beings have that assimilate cannabis and hemp when acted upon. So, the whole job of the endocannabinoid system in the body, whether it's a horse, a dog, a cat, us as humans, is to maintain homeostasis and equilibrium in the body, because what's been discovered about the endocannabinoid system is in 1992, Raphael Mechoulam, an Israeli scientist, discovered that. He happened to be the same scientist that discovered THC in 1964, which, for those of you who don't know, is the only psychoactive component in the cannabis plant. All the other cannabinoids are non-psychoactive. So, and again, that's kind of the difference between cannabis and hemp. Sometimes we say with hemp, it's the healing without the high, but I don't want to mislead anybody, because medical cannabis doesn't mean you have to get high or euphoric either. So let me just clarify that right there. But, that being said, the endocannabinoid system actually regulates things like the endocrine system, the lymph system, the limbic system, the central nervous system, the peripheral nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. It plays into all of those biological systems. So the healthier the endocannabinoid system is, the more balance people should be finding in their life. It's not a cure for anything. Nobody can make that statement. Not a doctor, not a salesperson behind a desk. Has been shown to alleviate and help people in nominal and massive ways. Yes, and we have tons of anecdotal testimony where people, it's literally changed their lives. So yeah.
And are they there clinical trials being done? So
clinical trials, if they're being done, they're not being very publicized. I know that a lot of doctors are writing white papers. These doctors that are recommending medical cannabis to their clients and receiving the anecdotal feedback from their clients are saying, we really got to start capturing this and, writing some white papers, because that can lead to clinical trials and funding. We need more funding, right? So we need the federal government, and even if private people want to fund the research required to continue to legitimize this as a medicine and not as something that's been demonized unfairly and irrationally for years.
And yesterday, as I told you, when we had that lecture, one of the more astute doctors who has such credentials in New York here, when this person discussed the marijuana and what was going on, he came up yesterday, he said, I've been recommending this to my patients. He said, certain patients, and I almost dropped because I said, oh my gosh, he's doing it too.
Yeah.
And so it's really, that made me really feel so good about this.
Absolutely. Doctors know that they can write prescriptions, and there's good medicine out there to help specific things. But again, the doctors that are maybe more conscientious or open, and they really believe in this, not because, they've used it in the past, but because they've done the homework and looked at the studies and kind of corroborated a lot of things and finally felt comfortable enough to say, if I can prescribe my patient opiates, I should be able to prescribe them this. And if this can reduce the reliance on or completely replace the need for those opiates, that's a risk that they're willing to take. And there is no risk. I mean, this is done legitimately by board-certified MDs who have taken the test and paid the fees to recommend medical cannabis. So, yeah.
Well, he actually, I don't think, the medical,
it's good
but
to
I
hear
don't
them
know if
say
he's
that.
even doing the medical. I think he's just telling people about what I want to call the hemp or the
it's
cannabinoids.
Yeah,
right?
that's it. They're again almost one and the same. The difference is just in the amount of THC.
Well, we have a couple of more people. Seth Levy, Linda
Seth.
Sauget.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, they're learning a lot.
Thanks for joining.
Right. So, going on with this, I wanted to just ask you, though, when someone comes in and you have all these products there, I want to just tell everybody where this place is. It's one of the nicest places.
Thanks.
It's a real showroom in a sense, and you have it elegantly displayed. Everything is
we
right
want
there.
people to feel at home. We want them to have their defenses down. It's a place that they can be comfortable, and most importantly, it's a center for knowledge and education and awareness. That's the most important
thing. As long as you're there. You are so good. I mean, and so I'm looking at this brochure. Why don't you go over some of the things on there?
Yeah, so, I know it may be hard to see, but, this is more of a product-focused brochure, just to kind of educate consumers on the different products. But, Here are some examples of the capsules that are available. These are vapor cartridges, so some people prefer inhalation, get the medicine in their bodies very, very quickly. These are the tinctures right here. These two are for the dogs and cats. This is the human one. And then these are different forms of hemp. They're called concentrates, which is raw extract from the plant, very, very powerful. They contain a bunch of powerful, medicinal components. It's incredible. The topicals right here are wonderful for muscle rubs.
I think it's important to mention that this is organic too.
All
we
organic.
didn't do that.
Yep, I apologize and thank you. These come from all organic hemp farm in Colorado. That's where we get our oil from, and all of the products are double tested, meaning they come with a certificate of authenticity. But we take that a step further and we test the products again to ensure the safety and the efficacy, because it's important that we're making and helping the people in the community healthier, not sicker. So I appreciate you mentioning that. The topicals are healing salves and pain butter. And then we get down to some of the edibles that we were mentioning here, the taffies and the chewable gumdrops, which are really, really good. So,
okay, so let's say that someone, you have anything on the back? I don't think so. No, that's okay.
It.
So what's happened? Let's say someone comes in and they don't, just like I was, and I had a piece of taffy and nothing happened. I didn't feel anything.
That's okay.
So why would I want to even take some of this? Do I need to have a reason?
No. Although most people that come in are trying to address something, right? It could be anxiety, it could be insomnia, it could be depression, it could be chronic pain, inflammation, things like that, nausea, et cetera, et cetera. So people often, yes, come in with something in mind and hoping that this is going to address it. But I'll give you an example of people who just do it on a daily basis as a preventative measure. I'm one of them. Thank God I don't have anything wrong with me. I'm not waiting for something to be wrong with me. And hemp prevents that from helping the endocannabinoid system keep the body in balance. Yes, you should eat right and find some time to exercise and get some sleep. So I'm not saying it's all hemp, right?
Of course.
You have to have balance in your life. But athletes, especially athletes that are performing at a high level, are turning to hemp CBD because they can't smoke marijuana. They get fined. They get benched. They can't play. It's illegal if you're in the NFL or the NBA, the Major League Baseball. But guess what happens to these athletes? They're in pain, inflammation, recovery time. Well, guess what hemp does? Or cannabis, anti-inflammatory properties, neuroprotective properties, speeds up recovery time. So this is very important for these athletes to keep inflammation down, recover quicker so they can go out and perform as well as they did day after day after day. It's a dietary supplement at the end of the day is what it is. So you don't need any reason to take it other than, hey, I want to get some good cannabinoids in my system, which we know have so many different benefits. So for somebody like you, Anita, who maybe, and thank God, I love hearing that, like, hey, you're pain-free and you're good. Why would you take it? As an overall mechanism for prevention of things down the road from now, 5, 10, 15 years. If you don't sleep well, it'll definitely help you sleep. But you make up a good point, like how you said, like you took it, you didn't feel anything, and then like, why would somebody take it again? The reality is it's an accumulative effect, and we always tell people it's not a silver bullet. In other words, I've had people in the store, drip, drip under the tongue, and they're like, they tilt their head down and they go, I'm not feeling it. And I'm like,
well, that's silly.
What medicine has a doctor ever given you where you actually felt that worked that fast? No, it's accumulative, and you have to, it takes practice, because going back to the different size in the bodies, which really doesn't mean anything, or the amounts where some people may need 5 milligrams, some people may need 50 milligrams or more, that's where the tinkering comes in. You have to be willing to experiment a little bit. And, if you're taking, let's say, 0.5 milliliters for 5 days and you're not feeling anything, guess what it's your job to do? Go up. Take 1 milliliter now and see how that feels for a few days. And if you're not feeling anything, guess what? Go up. With hemp, you don't have to worry about it because nobody's getting high. There's not enough THC in the, in the formulas to make somebody feel euphoric. So no chance for ODing, no euphoria or disorientation, no side effects. So your job is to find the zone or the amount of strength of the plant where you actually feel it making an impact to whatever it is that you're, using it to hopefully address. Once you find that spot, now kind of we know where to stay, and we can even change products to get you to that milligram or that strength level quicker, right? So there is a lot of education. I always tell people, when you talk to me, you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose, and I get it. We'll be friends for a long time, so you can just come on in and we'll go this over and over again until you understand it, and then you can decide on products.
You are an amazing person. What did you do before this?
I worked for corporate America, a very large company, the 9th largest company in the world. I was an indentured servant.
Yeah, right. Well, you're certainly the right person for this, and I hope people will go over there. I'm going to give your phone number, though, if they want to call. It's Pencil Talk Radio. Remember, it's 561-571-5338. Again, 561-571-5338. And on the web, it's hempmedicals.com.
Yes, ma'am.
Hempmedicals.com. And it's just been wonderful talking
Well,
with
thank you so much for having me
Josh
here.
HOFFMAN.
I can't
We're
be.
going to have you back again and again.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Yeah.
And thanks for everybody joining in.